Hi, everybody. Uh, Hope somebody's watching this. I'd just like to talk a little bit about some things I've been thinking about uh, with myself as a language learner, and I've been really too busy lately to probably do much language learning at all. I've been doing some with Vietnamese and Portuguese, um, but I had some downtime the other day, and I watched some of my YouTube feed and I watched a video from Lindsay Botts and she was interviewing somebody named Angela and she has a very nice channel here. And what I like about this is she's talking about I maybe mental health and making sure that we are viewing ourselves positively as language learners. So what makes people who identify themselves like I would like to. I identify myself as a polyglot. I sometimes call myself a failed polyglot, but I identify myself as a constant language learner, a learner of many languages to different levels. And so I've watched some of these videos here that she has. Victim mentality. So she talks about how we can set ourselves up for failure by maybe not we feel negative emotions when we're studying, when we're meeting language partners, when we're using languages, when we're on, I guess, going through a scheme of studying and eventually we may feel negative emotions and how we deal with those. So myself, let me talk a bit about myself. So looking back at my life, ever since I was 15, I've jumped into uh, language learning, maybe planning like crazy, studying like crazy, and then maybe starting and stopping again and again. If we look at the last maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I started doing this where I took the languages that I, all the languages that I've ever studied to a conversational level. So German, French, Spanish, and almost Russian, and Chinese, of course. And I tried to practice those languages every day and take at least 2 to 3 hours every day. Then it became 6 hours a day. I was doing the same thing, maybe, uh, same kinds of techniques, really. But some of those techniques weren't really my favorite, those methods I was using. And I did get to the point where uh, I would I would make myself feel negative about those situations, about how I was studying, and always look back at the good old days. So uh, Angela was talking about how we uh, how if we have a kind of victimizing personality, we see ourselves as the victim of our circumstances and situations. So I think uh, I know I'm talking in circles here. There was one time 3 years ago where I was studying, like I just said, and I didn't like how I was learning, and I didn't feel like I was making progress. And then I just got tired of studying the same amount, and then I kept trying to come back to that. And rather than stepping back and saying, "This is not working for me, let me try something else," I stopped or slowly stopped. It's like I couldn't maintain it every day and I wanted to do it every day. And because I couldn't maintain it every day, I became why do it then? Because I can't do it every day. And that was a bit self-defeating. There's been several times where I've had language exchanges with people, and but the language exchanges were happening in my life uh, at busy points in my life where just I couldn't squeeze them in, and I wanted to stick to a particular regimen. And even with italki, you have to uh, kind of book in advance. But I guess my life wasn't stable with times, and it was difficult to keep consistency with those classes. And then every time a class came, it was I felt so tired. And there have been a lot of times where I just paid for the class. I said, I booked your time. I'll just pay the money. I can't. I mean, I felt ashamed, and so I wouldn't be surprised if a good $100, $150 was spent on that, at least just missing classes that I've paid for, one-on-one classes on italki, and that does not feel good. Or if you don't have enough time to study in between one-on-one sessions where language exchanges, then you can feel demotivated, like you're not learning that much. Because I mean, yeah, everyone says you do learn by using it. You've got to use it. But if you don't look at what you're, if you don't look at the feedback and corrections that you've been given, and try to get a bit of input before the next time you go, then you're not necessarily adding too much. You're not adding more here, you're just using what you know and making it better. So I've made myself feel bad about that, and just avoid the meeting up with people when I could just schedule fewer classes and prepare better for each one. That would be much better. Um, Another time was I liked Professor Argoli's talks about 15 minutes for each language. So I've done this 2 or 3 times where I've managed to maintain 15 minutes minimum for each language, anywhere from 16 to 20 languages every day for 2 months. I've done that 2 or 3 times, and whatever I was doing, I was making lots of progress in some, but not that much in others. And I just really probably should have just looked at how I was learning them, because I was using the same approach for all of those languages. And some languages were just, it was just using the 15 minutes. It wasn't really moving me forward. And instead of telling myself I need to reevaluate what I'm doing, I just kept doing it. And I had negative feelings about that. And of course, sometimes I got really busy, and then maybe nutrition wasn't top priority at the time. And so, just those negative emotions at the time, it made it really difficult to stick to what I was doing at once. And I was always really negative to myself about those times. And there are really loud voices that I can remember too. Someone really close to me says, "Haven't you haven't studied one language to a very high level, and now you want to study several others." And that's somebody that I love, actually, who says that, and she doesn't mean to hurt me, but that is very hurtful, and I let that get to me as well. Um, she tries to be supportive, though, to try to get it. But I've also told myself, I've made a video before on YouTube saying that it doesn't matter if I am not using the language to speak to people. And I think that was because I just felt bad about not being able to speak very well. And I've French, for example, I can read books, but I just feel horrible when I speak to somebody in French. I feel like I sound really stupid, and I can hear a lot of the mistakes I make. And Chinese is the same way. Um, I uh, probably have also negatively looked at the language itself, or started to not like the language at times, because I just felt like it was so unforgiving about how precise you need to be with the sounds, and how people can accept what you're saying, or how difficult I feel it can be to talk to somebody and they to understand you. And Yeah, I've also had I've heard of this visualization technique where you visualize yourself as the learner, as the kind of learner that you want to be. And I always saw myself as not in a very positive light. So Angela was also talking about how we need to be kind to ourselves and we're stuck with ourselves. And I suppose there have been lots of people in my life who have said not very nice things about me studying many languages at once, or they just don't get it. And I listened to them, uh, I think, and it just didn't matter what they thought. Um, and there's also that I see people like polyglot community, and I wanted to make videos like that, like, oh, this is how you do this kind of technique, or this is how you study this, and look at me. I've even done some, tried to do a 30-day challenge where I speak 4 or 5 languages every day for 5 minutes at least, and well, that was silly. Um, but um, I'm currently I'm not doing any kind of real study regimen besides trying to do some about an hour of Portuguese speaking a week, and which is mostly Spanish that I'm trying to make Portuguese. The Vietnamese I'm going back through. Teach yourself Vietnamese. I'm not sure if I can handle the shadowing all the time with Asimil books. And yeah, I think I'm going to reevaluate what I have done before because I've made this nice uh, notebook before and I've shown it before on my YouTube channel. No one follows it, but I was doing something like this is like one at least 1 month, and every blue dot there represents sitting down with the language on that day for at least 15 minutes. So every blue dot, so every row is a day. Yeah. And those are the languages I was working at that time, with at that time. Um, I added Latin on there somewhere. I added some more, I think. But, um, and every, after the 19th of July, I was keeping track of, so a dot was at least 15 minutes. So blue means that uh, I was sitting down, doing some active studying. If it just says L, I was just using an audiobook. Um, and on the very right column, you can see how many hours a day. So I think I did pretty well with something like about 6 hours a day most days. Um, yeah, but at times I got really tired. I was making myself get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, and I guess what I should have tried to do was polyphasic sleeping, where you maybe break up your sleeping a bit. You don't sleep as long all at once, but you get up early. I should have basically I should have just been taking naps, but instead I just drank coffee like crazy, and I get tired and I'd have maybe a few too many bananas or too much fruit or something, too much sugar, and sugar crashes and maybe some unhealthy food sometimes, and just really busy job, extremely busy job, always at the computer, not getting enough exercise or getting too much exercise, just lots of things that could interfere with your how you are feeling emotionally, and not feeling like you're making progress, and pointing the finger at my ability rather than saying, oh, it's what I'm doing, it's a situation which is changeable. I can change some factors. So I yes, I haven't really thought about myself like that as a victim of my own creation with language learning. And I have thought about motivation before and how to identify when motivation dips and how to get motivation back with making sure that you're consuming content that you like and you're interested in. But consuming content, like the fun stuff, is not always going to make a lot of progress, but it is a good staple to have in language learning. So, like watching TV shows and listening to audiobooks, etc. I just wanted to make this video because I felt inspired by what I saw on Angela's YouTube channel, and I was going to make it on my. I've got a Mac. I've got this like a really nice microphone. I've got a green screen and everything, and just the volume goes echoing like crazy. So I just made it on my little laptop, so it's not the best quality, but um, this is probably the most authentic video I've ever made on this channel, where I talked about myself as not the expert. I think all other videos before I've been the expert. Now I'm not the expert. I'm the language learner trying to figure this shit out. Um, I'd like to start looking at other people's YouTube videos now, uh, where they're trying to figure things out rather than coming across as the expert. I know this, be like me. Um, I've done that my whole life. Try to be like the people on YouTube. Um, I can find my own way, I think. All right, thanks for watching. I don't think you watch all the way to the end, but yeah, thanks if you have. All right, bye. Write any comments, questions, if anything. All right. Thanks. Bye bye.